This is macOS Ken.
Still more mixed reality hints from Apple. The Cupertino company pushes back in India. And The Verge unearths some Apple history. It is Wednesday, the 31st of May, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by BetterHelp. Online therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/macOSKen today to get 10% off your first month. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. On the heels of countless stories about Apple announcing a mixed reality platform next week, and ahead of that anticipated announcement, a message from Apple that practically screams, "We are announcing an augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality headset." Apple Insider says the Cupertino company sent out a message to developers this week, reminding them that WWDC 23 is next week. The reminder will come as a surprise to developers who've been living in a cave or under a rock or maybe on a different planet. Cryptically, says the piece, the email includes the tagline for the event, Code New Worlds. In a normal year, that could mean any number of things. This year, though, if it doesn't end up being a glaringly obvious hint about some sort of face-hugging technology from Apple, it's pitchforks and torches on the way to Apple Park. The call to Code New Worlds was not the only hint we got on Tuesday. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says there's been yet another xrOS sighting. xrOS is one of the rumored names for Apple's AR, MR, VR operating system. Reality OS is another, and I don't mind saying the one that I prefer. But xrOS seems to be the one most cited, and besides, nobody asked me. In the run-up to WWDC next week, 9 to 5 Mac says Apple has once again leaked a reference to its xrOS software platform of the Reality Pro headset. As spotted by Steve Troughton-Smith, the latest xrOS reference from Apple has popped up in App Store Connect for developers. Now, Troughton-Smith used a bit of trickery for this one. Basically, it sounds like he tried submitting an app for xrOS through App Store Connect. That came back with the message, incorrect platform. You included the xrOS ARM64 executable in your iOS bundle. Only iOS executables can be included. The way the developer sees it, App Store Connect saying that the xrOS submission was in the wrong place means App Store Connect recognizes xrOS, which means xrOS is a thing. Or, as Troughton-Smith puts it, it suggests App Store Connect is using Apple internal versions of the linker tooling, which already have been updated to recognize xrOS binaries. Personally, I am hoping that Apple's current AR tricks ahead of its events will seem quaint this time next year. This time this year, though, there is another one out there for iPhone and iPad. Mac Rumors says the AR experience for the WWDC Keynote is live. To me, a lot of these have been hit or miss, though I will say this one is pretty slick. This year shows a shimmering, translucent Apple logo sort of wavering in and out of existence. The date, June 5, 2023, also appears in and disappears from the Apple logo's interior. What really sells it, though, is the reflected shimmer under the Apple logo, seeming to shine on whatever flat surface is viewable around the AR image. Because there is always a flat surface. That's how it's set up. Augmenting reality starts with reality. If you want to see the AR offering, go to apple.com/events on your iPhone, iPad, or I'm assuming iPod Touch. Tap View the AR experience. Scan the area near you to give the AR experience an area to inhabit. Then gaze in awe and wonder. If awe and wonder aren't your things, you can also view the AR object on its own. That you do by tapping the word object at the top of the page. Hints, leaks, and light shows weren't Tuesday's only WWDC-ness. Another piece from Mac Rumors says Apple also let would-be Keynote viewers know where they can view the Keynote. You can refer to them as the usual places. According to the piece, it'll be on the aforementioned events page, easily accessible at apple.com/events. It'll stream live through the Apple TV app, making it available on just about any connected device with a screen. If you want to be all developer-y about it, you can watch it through Apple's developer app, and it will stream on YouTube. In fact, the YouTube stream went into standby mode on Tuesday morning. As for when the thing kicks off, I know you know, but here we go. The WWDC 23 keynote is set to stream next Monday, the 5th of June. Someone, somewhere, will hit play on the world's most important VCR at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Online therapy. How much time do you spend on you? That can feel selfish. There's work, there's family, there's all kinds of stuff that can take up our time. Taking time for you can feel wasteful, but it's not. You spend all your time on other people, you can burn out, leaving nothing for you nor the people around you. Finding balance is important, and BetterHelp can help. How do you find the time? Well, every bit of BetterHelp happens online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And if you want to switch therapists for any reason, you can at no additional charge. Personally, I think the online part is great. I wasn't limited to which therapist was around me. When I was ready, BetterHelp was there. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/macOSKen today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/macOSKen. BetterHelp.com/macOSKen. While there may be similarities between growth expected for Apple in India and growth experienced for Apple in China, a story today illustrating what feels like a stark difference between the two. You know how China used to make demands of Apple around the App Store, and Apple would say, "How high?" According to a piece from Apple Insider, the Cupertino company is pushing back on an order by Indian officials to remove betting apps from the App Store, saying it needs a concrete reason in order to comply with the demand. I think you were supposed to say, "How high?" Back in February, the piece says India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology sent an order to Apple to pull 138 gaming and betting apps out of the App Store. Though Apple has not refused to comply, the report says the company has insisted that it cannot arbitrarily take down specific betting apps and make them unavailable in India. Still, Apple does have a lot riding on or in India. Perhaps with that in mind, Apple Insider says the company has pulled some of the apps from the App Store as an interim measure. The company has reportedly asked the ministry for app identification numbers to ensure accuracy while Apple vets the apps themselves. As for standing up for developers or to India, looks like Apple's going to be going that one alone. By contrast, Apple Insider says the Google Play Store has fully complied with the order. There's an update for Apple Watch this week. Under 2 weeks after the release of watchOS 9.5, a piece from BGR says the Cupertino company has released watchOS 9.5.1. If you're wondering what it does, none ya. Apple's release notes say the update includes improvements and bug fixes for your Apple Watch. Maybe it fixes the grayish-greenish screen issue some users have seen since the 9.5 update. Maybe we'll find out. What's funny is those release notes also say folks who want security info on the update can follow a conveniently provided link. Click that link and you'll land on Apple's security site, which conveniently lets folks know that there are no security fixes in the 9.5.1 update. I know it's boilerplate, but it feels like they could have changed that line in the release notes. But whatever. Apple Music users in the robot army can class up their playlists a bit. A piece from Apple Insider says Apple Music Classical is now available for Android. Launched for iOS in late March, the piece says the free add-on to Apple Music gives listeners a way to find classical music that the normal Apple Music interface doesn't provide. It's the kind of thing you don't get with Spotify or Amazon Music, nor with the Mac or iPad. While the iOS app for Apple Music Classical has been out for months, Apple has chosen to serve it up for Android before making dedicated apps for its own tablets and computers. I wonder whether Apple Music for Android is bigger than we realize. And finally today, interesting news of a documentary from The Verge. That The Verge would make a documentary is actually interesting on its own, but the subject sounds interesting too. 9 to 5 Mac says the 30-minute offering dives into the origin and obsolete status of Apple's Lisa computer platform. According to the piece, Lisa, Steve Jobs' sabotage and Apple's secret burial, covers the well-known ground of how the Lisa came about and why it ultimately failed. It is the secret burial part of the story that is most fascinating. One tease from The Verge says, in September 1989, according to a news article, Apple buried about 2,700 unsold Lisa computers. The Lisa was released in 1983, and it was Apple's first stab at a truly modern, graphically driven computer. It had a mouse, windows, icons, menus, and other things we've all come to expect from user-friendly desktops. It had those features a full year before the release of the Macintosh. It was also doomed. Meanwhile, the blurb on YouTube says, sabotage, hired goons, and a landfill in Utah. This is a story about the life, death, and afterlife of Apple's most pioneering flop, the Lisa computer. How it inspired generations of computers to follow, how Steve Jobs championed it, then turned against it, and how an outsider gave it another chance before Apple closed the door on the Lisa forever. I have not watched it yet, but I do look forward to doing so. You can check out Lisa, Steve Jobs' sabotage, and Apple's secret burial now on YouTube. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/macOSKen to get 10% off your first month. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.